And so, here we are again. It's video number 79, early from the studio, and the item I have in my hand is the small blue ball. I have also with me the head pad ready for the lying down work. Ideally, most of this workout is done lying on your back, sides, and a moment on your front. To start going though, we will start with the ball between our thighs in the traditional squatting positioning. So if you stand up, be conscious to have everything parallel in relationship to the environment you're in. Find your pelvic position and just pull the thighs towards each other till you feel that ball between the femur, the thigh bones. Have a momentary lengthening through the spine. Have a squiggle and a wriggle because no one ever, particularly in the morning, is lined up. Go now to your breath and you understand squat. Spread your toes, weight to the outsides of your feet, and we'll take it into the squat and the stand. Reminding your body that it bends and sits backwards at the hip area. The inhaling pulls you down and the breath out pushes you up through your heels, pressing into the ground. Get the breathing going. Obviously on your own, you can breathe as deeply as you want. In this studio, when we're together 2 meters distance, I appreciate it's different. But if you can practice the depth of breath, the breathing muscles, remember, need to continuously be developed, and even more so with every virus known to man going on. The breath in, you go down and you sit your bottom back, and the breathing out, you'll push back up. Connect now with the ball. Your ball is not your, you haven't got to conquer it, you've got to connect with it. You're not trying to kill it, you're trying to connect. The connection should be through the thigh bones, giving you a greater sense of where your inner thighs are. The other thing about the ball when you're doing these squats, and if you're sliding your hands simultaneously down the sides of the thigh, is the ball will show you that you're trying to wriggle around, and it's the pelvis that wants to lose its shape, its symmetry. Keep these squats going. I've determined that the squat is going to give you the blood flow that we need. Obviously, if you feel stiffer, that is normal in the morning. Your spine has hydrated, so it feels stiffer because it's longer and taken up the space using the disc hydration. The legs may be stiff because you've been doing workouts. Doesn't really matter, but the only way to chase effectively stiffness out of the body is by creating blood flow. Your squats involve your big muscles and your breathing muscles, and the body will start to be happier about where it is. People, the next time you go down into your squat, you'll stay. Just keep your hands to the sides of your thigh area and go to a connection with that ball. In theory, your spine position should be absolutely neutral. Exhale then, and as you gently pull on the ball, create a little pelvic tilt. It is a subtle tilt. Breathe into that space that you've created in the lower back, and then breathe out to release the thighs slightly. Exhale then, it's a small pelvic tilt, pelvic floor, no bottom squeezing, gently pulling the ball towards your other leg as it were, and releasing. Last moment, exhaling into that pelvic tilt, thigh squeeze. Inhaling back into your neutral. Here we go for rolling down. So have a big breath in, pull the chin to the throat, gently connect with the ball, and slide your hands, bending the rib cage, the neck, down in the direction of the floor. We're going to stay for a momentary stretch of the hamstrings. Your legs must be bent now, people, and your face square backwards. Breathe out, squeeze gently against the ball, and do enough of a leg straightener to let your hamstrings find a bit more length and stretch. If you keep your hands pressing on the floor, keep the breathing going, and keep the movement calm, then you'll find that you allow the hamstrings to lengthen out appropriately, not affecting your lower back. You've got 2 more like this, belly away from the spine with the exhaling, 1 more, and then from there place one hand, then the second hand on your bent legs at just above the knee joint, let your head hang, pelvic tilt, squeeze on the ball, no conquering of it so much, with connecting with it, and reverse your spine shape all the way up. Roll your shoulders, at which point you're now ready to go to ground. In terms of lining up for the lying down moment, pop the ball between your thighs, you sat up tall, your legs are bent, you've checked that your feet are level, knees are level, sitting bones equal load, and then lower yourself down until you find that you can put the head cushion under your skull. Squiggle and wriggle as much as you need, then slide the heels, trying to keep the symmetry of your legs level, left to right, right to left. The first thing to do here is something that requires you to start to notice more and go into a bit more of a body-mind map. Now, if you're flat back with no kyphosis, you certainly don't need this head cushion. If you're lordotic, you might need it because it helps the spinal area calm down. This is what we're going to do here. Have your arms long and reaching and relax then to the floor. You're going to go through a breathing exercise that allows you to feel the heavy areas of the body and the light spaces. Go back to breathing in through the nose and away out through the mouth, and notice your breath. The exhale is going to be the breath we use to go heavier in the different places, and the inhale to create a hydration. So breathing in through the nose on the first exhale, feel the skull go heavy. Keep going. The next breath out would be your shoulders across the upper back and down to your high waist, feeling heavy along with the head. Breathing in and out. It's the pelvis now, the back of the hip bones, the back of the bum cheeks that starts to feel heavy. And then with the next moment of the out breath, it's the feet, the heels, the outsides of the feet. You're now grounding the body, and you're going to breathe in and out, noticing each of those areas, which is your heels, your hips, the back of the shoulder area into the mid-rib cage, and the skull. Remember, if you're using a head cushion, your neck can't be on that cushion, it's definitely the skull. Closing your eyes is fine with this. I'm not going to create any movements for a few moments. As you're breathing in and out and giving your body the time to notice, that's the nervous system that has to notice, you will start to release places that shouldn't be tight, and that will then leave space for us to create the right tensioning action once the release has happened. If you carry tension in the wrong places, it actually confuses the body when you're asked, therefore, for activity in other places where it belongs. Whichever way, if you're thinking, I don't really know what you're on about, Tanya, don't worry. We will continue with the breathing and then create some movement. The breathing in and out now. On the breath out, don't let anything move in the bony area of the pelvis, but draw the thigh bones gently against the ball, feeling the squeeze of the femur with no shift at the hip bones. And the inhale, imagine the ball pushes the thigh bones away again. Exhaling, pelvic floor, navel to spine. The thigh bones connect with the ball, and the inhale, the ball almost presses them back out again. Exhaling, remember, you're not trying to conquer, you're trying to connect with smaller sensations that are far more significant than bracing, squeezing. Breath out to draw up on pelvic floor and feel the thigh bones connect with that ball. Breathe in. If you want to put your fingers on your hip bones, you can, and allow that ball to press those thighs away. Last time then, breathing out. It's as though the breath out draws the ball in, and the breath in floats the ball away. We will now create a small move. The breath out then pulls and connects with the ball, and simultaneously the pelvic floor helps you tilt your pelvis to an imprint. The ribs are already imprinting. You breathe in and notice that space now in the lumbar area as you close to the ground. You notice the inner thighs squeezing, and then on the next breath out then, allow the thighs to float away and the return and the release of the lower area. Exhaling, pelvic floor, find the thighs squeezing and the pelvic tilting. Breathe in to claim the space, keep the squeeze on the ball. Exhaling then, you're going to use this next breath out to allow the thighs to float away from the ball and the pelvis to return your normal curve back to the lower back. And last time, exhaling. Create that imprint. Breathe in, your pelvic floor's drawn up towards the navel, and exhaling back out. From there then, stay in your neutral pelvis. Forgive me, I have to cough. We're going into our ab curl in neutral. Same principles, but your arms have now got energy in, palms are facing the sides of your thighs. Your head is still heavy, and both sides of the back of the pelvis know exactly where they're loaded, which is equal load. On the breath in, you'll pull your chin to your throat, and as the breath out happens, start pulling on that ball and roll the rib cage up, looking for the blue ball. Breathe in, squeeze it more than, and breathing out, roll down and start to flow the thigh bones away from the squeeze. Exhaling next time, nod chin, ball squeeze, no tilt of the pelvis if you can help it. Pull your armpits in the direction of your shins. Breathe in, keep the squeeze, breathing out, roll away from the squeeze and release the thighs. Breath out is the core connection, pelvic floor, thighs against the ball, tension increases. Inhale, continue that tensioning in without tucking under, crown of the head to the ceiling. Breathing out, keep heavy at the back of the pelvis, release the thigh bones and back down. Okay, exhale this time for transitioning. We exhale, pull the ball, thighs, roll up. Breathe in. Exhale now and pelvic tilt using pelvic floor navel to spine for imprinting. Put the hands to the sides of your thighs. You've done this before. On the breath out then, pull the navel down away from your clothing. Pull on that ball and float your legs to tabletop. Kneecaps are level. Put your hands to your knees. Breathe in. Stay in imprint. Breathe out. Up you come. Ball squeeze. Breathe in. Down you go, staring at that ball. Exhaling. Ball squeezes continually, connecting you, pelvic floor and between the hip bones. Inhaling down. If you'd rather, once you know your knees are level, put your hands to the back of the thighs, you can. You've got 4 more here. Breath out, pelvic floor, inner thigh connects with that ball. Inhaling, down you go. Breathing out, up you go. Breathing in and rolling back down. Breathing out, rolling up and inhaling down and stay down this time. You've got the ball between your thighs. You're going to put your hands to the floor now. Keep the skull heavy and keep the imprint. Exhale, push the legs to the ceiling and then breathe in and bend them again. Breathe out, press against the hands as you push through your heels and breathe in and bend. Obviously, if your legs don't straighten because your hamstrings are tight, then push your legs either a bit further away or just push them to where they go without them being straight. The very move of the legs wakes up deeper activity into the lower core area. The next time your legs are straight, stay, breathe. Exhale, squeeze the ball and curl up. Inhale, open the thighs and lower back down. Breath out, pull against that ball with the inner thighs, up you go. Inhaling and down you go. Obviously holding on to your thighs assists with what needs to happen with the upper spine bending. Breath out, nod the chin, shrink the tongue. Breath in, open the thighs. Last time, exhale, the chin nods, you pull against the ball and leave the pull against the ball. Bend the legs and lower the head down. You're now going to take the ball from between your thighs and pull it to the base of your rib cage. Put one hand on top of the other, nod the chin in and then allow the elbows to come down. Breathe in. As you breathe out, pull the ribs down with the breath out and pull against the ball. The ball will lower. Then allow your right heel to lower to a tap and then pull it back up, breathing in. Exhale, compress against the ball and the ribs, connecting with the deeper abdominal area and inhale back up. Breathe out and inhale, pulling back up. Your ball now is helping you control the rib cage placement and connect more with the pelvic floor. Pelvic floor navel to spine. As your leg lowers, the lower fibres between the hip bones work harder, and as your breathing muscles allow you to pull down against the ball to create a deeper rib cage placement, more happens. The next time then we're going to start the curl up with this. So breathe in, exhale, curl. Inhale and curl. Breathe out, curl. Remember how we're learning to watch the leg return before throwing the head down again. Use the ball, breath out, leg lower and lift, inhaling once you get to the end of the breath, lowering the head, breathing to take the leg down. You should get a strong feedback from the spine behind you, staying completely connected to the floor. Exhaling, limb lower, inhaling back. Last time, breathing out, pulling down against the ball and bring yourself back. Put the ball between your thighs and press your heels back to the ground. Remove your head cushion if you can. We're going to do hip rolls. The heels are grounded, the back of the pelvis is grounded, you're into your neutral position and you're losing tension where it doesn't belong. We're going to keep the tension now between the thigh bones, so if you need to walk your feet in a tad more to get more core connection through the femur, but make sure you haven't gripped the pelvic area into a bit of a rotation. Inhale through the nose, exhale to your squeeze of the ball and the pelvic tilt, followed by the pickup. You've picked up now into your spine curl or your hip roll or your bridge position, but there is no tension in the lumbar. Hold that shape. By all means, put your hands to the base of the pelvis here and behind here. Exhale, then squeeze on that ball and inhale, slight release. Exhaling, shoulder blades are certainly on the floor, the skull is heavy, the heels know that they're pressing into the ground, and you're aware of continuously pelvic tilting as well as pulling against that ball. The breath out is the pelvic floor, inner thigh, the hamstrings connect. If it's in your lower back, lower the pelvis down a tad. Exhale, thigh squeeze against the ball. Inhale, release. Breathing out, you have 2 more. So you're systematically pelvic tilting and pulling on the inner thigh adductor area with the pelvic floor, pressing through your heels to wake up the hamstrings. Whichever way, stay this next time. Huge inhale into the sides of the rib cage, and the breath out now will, as you squeeze the ball, melt the spine away, creating the length that it deserves. Okay, people, well done. To come up, you're going to put your hands behind your thighs and rock up. It's quite a nice position. The ball can go a little bit lower down now. It can actually, if you really want to, take it right the way down to the lower limbs. But if you can't get your legs really straight, I'm going to suggest you keep the ball just above your knee joint. As we sit tall, you sat right upon your sit bones. We've been learning how to bend the spine to forwards flex without anything happening to the lumbar or the seated area pelvis. Take your hands to the forehead, pull your shoulder blades together and let the shoulders relax away from your ears and your neck. Breathe in, breathe out, pull against the ball and bend the rib cage, and you find you're staring down at the ball and very strong legs. Stay for a breath in, keep the ball tight between the thighs, and on the breathing out then, restack the spine from the middle rib cage area, back, skull, chin, in. Exhaling, keep the ball squeezed, and feel the fold over the mid-ribs, the breast, the pec area. Stay, breathe in, feel the ball connection, and breathing out, feel the shoulder blades lead you through the upper spine up into a lengthened position. 2 more. Keep the ball squeezed. And 1 more, keep the chin in. It's very easy to let that chin poke out. I speak to myself. Breathe in, breathing out, shrink, squeeze the ball, and you're upright. Take the hands now by your sides and pull the heels so that they're flat. You're now ready with the ball between your thighs, and we've got our rolling backwards. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out, find that spine curve again, so C-shaped spine. Keep the C-shaped spine, we're doing this in the studio at the moment, and then breathing out, start to roll off your sit bones, pulling against that ball until your hands tap the floor. Breathe in, breathe out, pull against the ball, and drive yourself all the way back into C-shaped forwards bent spine. Breathe out again. Pelvic floor, navel to spine, looking at the alignment as you roll back, imprinting the lumbar. Breathe in, breathing out, pull against the ball, bending the ribs, bending the chest over the ball. 2 more. So you're connecting with the ball, relax the shoulder strength, breathe in, connect with the ball, come back up. Inhaling, last time. The pelvis, the lower back, the abdominal wall is working to contain and control the move as you train the spine to move sequentially. This next time then, sit up tall, and the ball now is going to go hand on the ball. If you want to take your legs wider to create a bit more space, you can do. If you really genuinely can sit up tall on your sit bones in perfect neutral, by all means take your legs into a slightly wider shape. We're going to have our first experience of rotation. I can't emphasise enough, if your hamstrings aren't long enough to sit up properly without your back flexing, don't do it. It's no advantage. With the breath out then, shoulder blades pull towards each other, and imagine you're pulling the right shoulder backwards to pull against the ball and then go to centre. Breath out. If you press the ball against the sternum, middle breast area, middle pec, it'll free up the rotation in the thoracic area. That's the thoracic back of the rib cage. Make sure that the shoulder leads the journey backwards. It's the back of the shoulder, not the upper shoulder. When I tune my body into rotation, it's as though I pull my scapula, the shoulder blade back, and the nose, the eye gaze, everything follows. One more, either side. All this while, you're like a corkscrew, absolutely vertical in your alignment. It's an axial movement of rotation. Again, we've been exploring that this week, okay, and let that go. This blue ball now will go behind your sacrum. When I teach this one, obviously I'm being quite daring, teaching it without actually physically being able to see you, but I feel we've done enough work together through the programming for this to go to the right place. That ball, it's behind your sacrum. Think below your waistband, sacrum to lower back. If you're really flat backed and bendy, that ball will go a bit further up to stop you overly tucking under. All I can ask you to do is not continue if it's painful, because if that ball is in the right place, it's perfectly there to connect you to your lower pelvic area. We're in the position where our legs are bent as normal, parallel tram line connection, lined up heels, knees, hips, and we're going to get into your obliques. If you're in the right place, the chin's nodded in, you're already thinking, okay Tanya, can you get on with this? So you breathe in. On the breath out, bend your elbows and pull the hands to the floor at the side of the hip. That should give you more activation connection. If it doesn't, the ball's in the wrong place. Inhale and reach them forwards again. Breathe out, the shoulders are completely relaxed. As the hands come down and the elbows backwards, the load goes into the oblique area, hip bone to rib cage. Breath out. Think of the ball that you're on and imagine its springy properties. In other words, the ball's inflated, so it's bouncy. It's got air in it that should become quite a spring connection with your body. If as you go down this time, you want to imprint more into the ball and tuck under a tad more, or just feel the springy connection with the ball, then exhaling down you go, as long as it's not in your back, and as long as your pelvis doesn't shift and your thighs twist, then you can continue at this level. Remember, it's the breath out. Pelvic floor, navel, spine. Imagine your pelvic floor drawing up and behind your navel. Breathing out and breathing in. You've got one more. Breathing out and breathing in. Going to slightly change, so come up a little way out of the extreme area. Remember, if it doesn't feel right, change the ball. Hands are going to still reach. You're going to float your left leg up in the air and pull your right hand down. Exhaling, and you're going to switch. Breathe. And as you alter from heel to heel, you start to wake up the oblique and the hip flexor. Absolutely necessary strength. So we're going to lift and lower, lift and lower, and lift and lower. If you pick up the leg, push the same arm down the same side and lower it down. Pick up the leg, push the arm down. That immediately switches on stability, frontal, flexors, frontal, and the back is completely stabilized because you're using your stability system through the front. All right, one more each side. Last time. And let that go. From that position there, we're going to come straight onto our front to get rid of the tension that was necessary and good. The ball now will go under your rib cage, just below the breast area, the pec area, that line that goes below the pec muscles in the human form. The ball is under the ribs. The legs are strong and reaching, and we're learning how to keep our feet heavy. Initially, allow the head, neck and shoulders to roll down. The ball will feel invasive, that's fine. Exhale, shrink the tongue, lengthen the legs, and then inhale, feel the ball under you connect as you push the nose and the chest forwards, creating what we call an extension without the lumbar spine feeling anything. Have a breath in again up here, and then exhaling, feel the chin nod, and the rolling down over the ball. Legs are heavy, feet are heavy. Exhaling, you pull the ground with the hands as you extend the upper back. You breathe in, you're pushing into your forearms and noticing, feeling the ball. You're breathing out to chin nod. And single breath, we go inhaling and exhaling. If you tune into the ball, it's as though it assists you in moving through the middle to upper back. Middle to upper back is shoulder blades to the neck. If you pull against the ground, it allows you to use some of the lats and serrats, and the breath muscles finally tune you to find your range of movement from the perfect place. Your legs are lengthened, strong and energized. The pubic bone is dominant, the hip bones are not in the mat. Last two. And last one. And stay. Be conscious of not having anything in your lower back. Look just beyond your end of mat, and you've got your double leg kick, which is the 1, 2, reach and extend. As the leg straightens, let that foot go heavy, as then the other leg bends and reaches. Keep the ground stable, keep the ball and rib cage connected, so the upper body is lengthened. The ball is assisting you in keeping the length, and the evidence that this is as it should be is that the lower back feels nothing, but your hamstrings and glutes feel everything. And I can't kind of do it in talk. 1, 2, point and reach. The stabilisation, the leg that's on the floor, really push that foot to the floor and lengthen the leg. It's about length out of the pelvis, not the lower back. Hamstring, pelvic stability, and it's your last one. And finish that off by folding over your ball. Place your hands under your shoulders, breathe in, breathing out. Pull yourself up and send yourself into that length and stretch child pose we know it as. You're ready for side lying now. The ball for side lying will go between your legs, and it's more the lower leg. So to get your ball in the right place, I tend to think of doing it with my legs bent. I'm going to use a head cushion. Remember, if you have even the slightest issue going on with your shoulder joint, there is no point having your arm above your head. If you lack stability, there is very little point having your arm under your head reaching away in the traditional position. Once you've got your legs like so, send them away into their side leg balance position. So we've got long line legs, breathing. Exhale, pelvic tilt, connect. Be conscious of having the shrinkage away here, the drawing up on pelvic floor, and the waist off the floor on the side you're lying. With the next breath out, the legs will lift, and inhale, lower. Breathing out. The ball now connection is that the underneath leg feels as though it's pulling up against the ball, and the upper leg is containing it, as it were. So the breath out lifts you, and the breath in lowers. Your aim is to do this without rocking and rolling. If you do need to have your hand in front of your pelvis, you can. Keep the gap away from the floor because it's pelvic stability laterally sideways. The movement isn't massive, and the movement stays as small as your body allows. The next time you're up there, you're going to stay up there. So exhale up and stay. You've got your upper range now, so underneath the legs are going to lift. and lift. You may feel the ball slide slightly. You don't want your hips to roll back. Keep your head heavy and keep the tension out of the neck. The inner thigh, that's the lower leg inner thigh, starts to know all about this. Now, if you could manage to do a duality of squeeze with both legs and still keep the move going, you'll get your abductor on the top leg here and you'll get your adductor on the lower leg. The issue would be rolling back through the hips or forwards. You're not wanting that to happen, otherwise it doesn't end up reorganising and rebalancing the pelvic connection to your legs. Breath muscles still working. Are you feeling your inner thigh on the underneath leg? Can you sense the slide almost against the ball as your underneath leg pulls up? It slightly rolls, but your hips are going nowhere. Do me 4 more. Going 4 and 3. You've got 2 more. Pelvic floor, remember, last time. And then bend your legs in and take the ball from between your legs. Your ball's now going to go not under the hip, but there to tell the hip where it belongs. You'll come down onto your forearm. In this position here, your underneath leg is now going to line up with the corner of your mat, so it's forwards of the hip. When we lie on our sides, we've done this with the legs forwards. You're ready for prepping your front leg kick. So don't collapse on the ball, check. It's there to tell you not to collapse. Allow the top leg to come forwards and then kick, and then point the toe and drive it backwards, keeping the horizontal axis. Your underneath leg stays still as the top leg kicks and drives back. The hinge, without tucking the bottom under, matters. If you're someone who doesn't have long hams, keep it here. Do not try and kick the screen that you're facing. Bring it forwards, forwards, drive it back. One could argue that actually in this movement pattern, it's the drawing back that's the greatest benefit. Obviously, you've got pelvic stability all the way through and upper back, shoulder stabilisation under obliques. Okay, we're going to do 2 more. 1, 2, and pull back. Stabilise the spine. 1, 2, pull back and lower the leg down. You're ready for your other side. So take the ball with you. We'll go straight onto your side lying. Cushion ready. Remember how to set up. No rush. You're going to put the ball between the lower limbs. Check the knees are level. Lower your shoulder down. Head pad in place wherever you want to be. And then stretch out your legs. With the legs stretched out, your pelvic position is stacked as you understand. Your hand on the floor, the waist is off the floor on the underneath side, and then breathe. Exhaling then, legs float up, inhaling back down. Your lengthening at this point is small, lengthening and lowering. Breathing out. Now obviously, to do it without holding on demands more pelvic floor, core connect oblique. It is traditionally known as side lying balance, and you can see why. The ball actually increases instability, therefore attracting to the exercise the stability muscles. Instability will always, the nervous system will interpret that as needing more stabilizers. So if they're on offer, it will find them, which is where the breath comes in. Your stability sequence will only track, find, activate with breathing muscles and correct alignment. So the alignment's crucial in this moment. Remember your waist not moving, your hips staying stacked left to right. Next time you're up there, stay. We now add to the increase. So you've got your adductor. You should try talking and balancing. It's not my best skill. So the adductor on the underneath leg is now feeling as though the leg rolls with the ball. The inner thigh, lower leg, imagining it's lifting the upper leg. Your hips must not roll back, and if there's any amount of instability, either through tiredness or just not being able to concentrate in the mind, then put your hand in place without rolling your shoulder. Exhaling, we lift up and up and up. It's restorative, this. If you can find your level of where you belong with your posture in side lying, you will give back to the body so much more. Go on breathing, pelvic, inner thigh, outer thigh getting a bit of a free journey, I believe. Last two, and last one, and pull the knees in. Take the ball from between your legs, and you're going to put the ball around the crest of the iliac, the hip area. Get everything lined up, and you're not resting on the ball, you're allowing it to help you lift. My clothing doesn't really demonstrate it, if I'm honest, but that's life. Once you've got your leg positioning straight, so remember these are forwards of the alignment that's neutral, you then rise the top leg up. Now you might find actually on this that the ability to just stop crushing the ball, lowering, lifting might be your level, all right? That's fine. Whichever way, the leg in theory wants to come as forward as it will go without tucking under. Do a little kick again, point the toe and drive back just beyond the underneath leg. It will go 1, 2, exhaling and inhaling back. Don't worry about your breath just now. Worry about, or don't worry about anything. Think about what's happening at the hip. So the ability to move the leg and then drive it back without you crushing that ball is really the activity. Again, I'll emphasize that the skill, functional sense, I think is in the pull backwards here. So if you don't want a leg kick because your hamstrings are too tight and you're thinking too hard about your shoulder, then don't do a dramatic kick, and by all means take it to a lower and lift if it means that your underneath waist works. Otherwise it's a kick, kick, pull back, a 1, 2 and reach, a 1, 2 and reach. Last time, 1, 2 and reach and lower down. Well done. We're going to finish off this sequence with you lying on your back and lifting your hips up and placing that ball under your sacrum. Because we've got the ball under the sacrum, now your sacrum is below the waistband of the clothing you tend to wear. With the ball under the sacrum, you don't need your head pad because you've already elevated everything up, so you should be more comfortable with the skull and with the shoulder. Go back now to the heavy places and sensing the spaces. You know where your feet are. With each breath out, imagine that you could pull your navel down into the ball and shrink the tummy in and create a little bit, tiny bit of tilt. With the heaviness of your legs on that ball, the thighs feel more mobile. If you're doing what I'm asking for, which is trunk stabilization, heavy head, heavy shoulders, heavy hips on the ball, the thigh bones can naturally float away. To the sides of your feet you go, shrinking in and come back. You're keeping the trunk stability, feeding off the ball through the back of the sacrum, through the abdominals pulling down in the direction of the ball in your mind, and then the thighs naturally articulate to and fro. And then take them one at a time. So now exhaling, right leg out sideways, inhale and pull it back. Exhale, unfold and fold back. The fold is through the thigh bone in the pelvic joint area, and the pelvic joint stays absolutely still without the hips twisting, shifting, lowering or lifting. Just do one more now to your other side. And now exhaling, push your legs straight, leave it straight. Exhaling, keep the heaviness on the ball, shrink the navel in and push your other leg straight. If you're comfortable, you can allow the back to extend, the hips to open, and your arms can go wide open too. If that pinches on your back, play around with the position of the ball. It can go further down towards your tailbone, but don't put it under your lumbar spine. Your lumbar spine is where your waistband is, so the ball would go only in the direction of the tailbone if it was going anywhere. Now, the position of the ball in the right place will open the flexors, and the bouncy springy element of the ball allows the body to find a rest, a release. All the tension that may have been triggered during some of the workout can now disappear, and the breathing can take control, and the body can find once again its place of space So your final moment here is the body scan with your mind map. Breathing in and out, close your eyes if you can. On the breath out, feel heavy on the skull, back of it. With your next breath out, feel heavy all the way through the back of the shoulder blades to the upper arms, shoulders chilled away from the neck. The next breath out, the heavy place will be the sacrum, pelvis, back of the bum area on the ball. Even the tailbone may feel this one. And then feel as though there's heaviness through the calf to the heel. The thighs are rotated to wherever they naturally go. And you'll feel as though the hip bones, this is the iliac crest, are protruding. So make the most of being heavy on the ball and then drawing up through the pelvic floor, navel to spine, and then releasing it. Breathe in. Exhaling, palms are to the ceiling. As you feel heavier on the ball, breathe out. Draw the pelvic floor up, shrink the tummy in. And the area that's hip bone to hip bone, thigh bone to hip bone to waist area gets the lengthening space that it wants. Okay, people, that is all we have time for. To safely come out of this position, bend one leg, bend the other leg, roll off your ball, and come to seated. Claim the space again in your trunk. You can sit up tall with legs straight or bent, and then allow the air to go to the shoulder. Breathe in. Exhale, allow the chin to nod down to the chest. Breathe in. Exhale, allow the air to go to the other shoulder. Breathe in. And then breathing out, centre the skull up. Breathe in. Air the other way this time. Shoulders relaxed. Breathe in. Exhale and allow that nod. Chin to chest. Breathe in. Exhale, up through the other side. No force, only finding. Breathe in and then breathing out. Pull the head to the sky. Finish off by pulling your chin so far to your throat. Put your finger there. And you're pulling against the chin and you tighten to the neck, the back of the neck getting a stretch. You breathe into that place and then imagine just floating the head up. And there you have it. May your day go well. Take your Pilates connections into your day, and I'll see you on another day with another routine. It's a goodbye for now, everyone.